that being said, time for my thoughts. Now, I thought that the game was actually really fun. Like, despite a couple minor issues, like, again, a couple weird glitches near the end, and, like, there were a couple things. It wasn't, they were very little to me, though. Um, One of the things that I found a little annoying about the game, it was like the encounter rates were always extremely high, and not to mention the levels they were at were also pretty high. Now I didn't have a problem with it, but I grinded excessively off screen, and if you didn't do that, then it would be extremely hard to like to just get through the goddamn game. Um, Beyond that, I feel that Pokemon being over level 100 in the Elite Four, while definitely a good challenge, is almost really cheap in a way. Like, it's not like all of them had like an amazing like competitive level like world champion Gen 1 like move set. Not that some move sets like weren't changed because they were, but and a lot of the Pokemon did mostly have a lot of stab moves and minor extra things like Earthquake and whatnot. But I mean, it was doable. So that's like the saving grace to that in that like considering even my team wasn't like it wasn't like the be all end all team. I didn't pick this team because I knew that it could do competitively the best. Now, I did say they have a better shot than the other Pokemon, and I did explain why, and a few coverage like ideas I did mention, but for the most part, it was really a lot of Pokemon, as Karen from Gen 2 said. I just kind of won with my favorites, and knowing this, like in Gen 1, uh, from the Pokemon that I could get, and all the Pokemon that were part of my team before, with the exception of Jolteon, of course, because I kind of added that really late in the game. Um, in fact, while I'm doing this, I might as well save the game. 044, I guess. That's a save state name. So yeah, I mean, thinking about it, a lot of the Pokemon were Pokemon that I just kind of wanted to grab and see how they worked because I've never used them. I've never really used them, and I didn't know how in the hack they were gonna work. Like, of course, there was Charizard, which I've used before, but not very much, especially in Gen 1. I think I've used it a grand total of like twice in Gen 1. I really stick with Blastoise, and usually I don't even go with the starter. I try to pick something else, try to roll with that. I usually end up with like a one Pokemon team for a lot of my games. Although Gen 1, I haven't played in a while, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get into this because it just took me back. Like, I really just wanted a Gen 1 hack, and Gen 2 hack is going to be great too because damn, I really do love Johto, and I know I sort of say that all the time, especially in this game. I think I've said this a lot in this game, but it's true. I can't hide it, and I will admit that I am pretty biased, and well, yeah, I am biased, and it's not always like Johto's the perfect game. But I'm getting off track, and I just want to finish what I was saying. Charizard I've used not very often, and considering he was there and he was a starter that I picked, if I might as well use him, even though I didn't ended up I did not end up using Charizard for like the vast majority of the end game crap pass like Blaine and whatnot. Hitmonlee is one that I've also never used before, and it looked like it had potential, and it probably could have been able to maybe go through the Elite Four a little bit, but I just felt that Sandslash with submission could suffice, and even though Sandslash became sort of the punching bag, I feel that Hitmonlee could have been even worse because his defense is just that horrible. Like it's really bad. His HP isn't much better. Really, its attack is like, and its speed to a degree too. Its saving grace. Scyther, I used mostly for slash. That was its biggest purpose, just because it was fast enough that I knew it was gonna crit almost all the time, and I don't think it ever didn't crit with slash. In fact, the only high crit ratio move that I remember not critting with was Victory Bell once with Razor Leaf. Speaking of that, Victory Bell is a Pokemon I did not use before, and I've never used a Victory Bell before. And I was actually really glad to try to use it. And granted, it really, like, I want to say I'm not really planning on using it again. Although, like, I guess I can't really make judgments because this is a hack. Um, it's hard to say, like, exactly the way Pokemon, like, would be in the real game. But and while like I definitely see like potential with the strategy, I'm usually not about doing like a sleep powder, leech seed kind of thing. Just a lot of staple grass type moves that really aren't offensive. And while there was Razor Leaf, which was pretty good, it wasn't. It was first of all, it was Gen 1, so in later gens it's not going to do much. Not going to do nearly as much, I should say. Um, I think the pinnacle of grass type like that I okay, like this isn't the only one obviously, but I just think of Chikorita as being an example of a grass type that I definitely could not use. Um just because again, like it has stuff like that. It has reflect and light screen, and that's really how you're going to get about things. And even then, like once you set it up, it's very likely that it's just not going to work because you have so many weaknesses to begin with anyway. Now, for Dragonite, I picked because I knew Dragonite. I knew that the Wrap Thunderwave combo, realizing that Dragonite never actually got Wrap, which sucks, but it still like did stuff. The I guess really Blizzard weakness was a really bad a really bad downside to it because everything goddamn freaking everything had Blizzard. The rock weakness didn't really play much of a part at all. In fact, I don't think I remember a single rock move being like done in the Elite Four. I think I tried using rock slide and it failed, and there was an Aerodactyl, but it never used any rock moves on me because I just killed it immediately with Hydro Pump. Um, what else? There, Sand Slash, by the way, I've used the Sand Slash before, as you can tell. In Gen 2, I haven't really done much of it in Gen 1. I've used it once in another file, but it it was okay. Like it it definitely wasn't bad. It it did die kind of easily, being having really bad special, and just that being a major thing, especially in late game. Anyone I'm missing? Jolteon. I've used Jolteon before. I really love Jolteon. I remember using Jolteon the first time in this blind run, like the blind run that I've ever played of Pokemon, and I really do love Jolteon. despite it not being my favorite EV design wise, it still has a good design. I think Vaporeon has the best design out of all of them. It's just my personal opinion. But in terms of usability, I'd probably say honestly like there could be I would say Jolteon from Gen 1, like Espeon from Gen 2. If we're counting Gen 2, then I would put Espeon above Jolteon. And Gen 6, Sylveon, I would put under Espeon and maybe tied with Jolteon. But regardless, it's not what we're talking about in Gen 1 here. Pidgeot just seemed to be decent on its own, and it did manage to hold its own very well, actually, all things considered. Um, and I feel like I'm missing a couple. God damn it. Clefable, I've mentioned. Gengar, I really do enjoy Gengar in general. Like, I think it's good design, good usability. Dream Eater and Hypnosis got really far, honestly. But knowing that everything had a full heal on the Elite Four, they didn't want to pull some cheap crap on you, despite them pulling cheap. They didn't want you pulling cheap crap on them, even though they pulled cheap crap on you. Like it was great. This is becoming like a podcast now. I know I haven't done this for like haven't been doing this for like half an hour or anything like that. It's only been like maybe 15, 20 minutes, but I do like to talk about this stuff. Um, Beedrill, yeah, let's nothing particularly special about Beedrill. I know it's sad. Um, that's it that I can think of. Maybe I'll review it later and about it. Um, anyway, just to wrap up about the game, I could even just cut half of that out or make this its own separate video. That would be a good idea, actually. Um, I think that the gyms were, with the exception of maybe Blaine, I'd say were really good difficulty. Um, the rival battles were also really good. Even the one on the ship where I really had a tough time with, I would say still inherently good, and it wasn't cheap. It was just hard, and I guess I just was unprepared for it. And what else? And all right, well, Gen 1 doesn't have too much. It's really just the gym leaders, rival battles, the Elite Four. The dungeons were really interesting. I liked the layout of most of these things in that you had to fight every trainer for the most part, but it was still really cool in its own right. The way like you had to go through Route 11 to get to the ship, even though you had to go through there every time, which is definitely something that I really hated. Like it's like you could just do it quickly, but it was still annoying. There are a few annoying things that the first time around when you're going through the trainers, you sort of had to they sort of had to make it a little less a little straightforward, so that you had to go through the trainers, but you have to go through like that path every single time, like around and back. And um, some of the things that I mentioned, like the way the hack doesn't let you go to certain places until you do this or whatever. The way like that police officer blocked the access to Misty's gym in Cerulean City. That I thought was really cool, and I still kind of do. There are still a few clever things in that hack that I appreciate, and I can tell like it was thought through and like just in general. The Elite Four, I've always hated Lorelei the most because all of her Pokemon are pretty bulky in some way. Um, Cloyster you can get through pretty easily with a special attack, like it's like Thunderbolt or Thunder or something. But Lapras is always just has always been a pain. Articuno, honestly, I know it killed me a couple times, but that was just because I was like worn out from the other Pokemon. Honestly, like if Articuno were first, I don't think I'd have as big of a problem as I would like Lapras. I'm surprised I got rid of the Slowbro. Granted, again, it has like cloister um, disease. I guess I don't know. Like it takes a lot of damage from special attacks, but not physical. But it's still bulkier, especially knowing that the special stats the same. It's pretty good. Um, Bruno, or sorry, okay, well it was Oak. Oak wasn't that bad. I think it was tolerable. It was still a little difficult again. Like all the Elite Fours were pretty difficult. Agatha, I think, was the easiest, if I remember correctly. Lance was tolerable. Like when I say tolerable, I don't mean like I hated it, but I just mean like in terms of difficulty, it was it was okay. Like I think it was a I think it was probably like the second most difficult behind Lorelei. Okay, so in terms of the Elite Four, I would definitely put Lorelei first, Lance second, Oak third, and Agatha fourth. But the champion would be above all of that. Beyond that, aside from that strange glitch in Cerulean Cave, which I probably even would put a warning saying if you're following along, you know, definitely get someone with dig or get an escape rope when you get to the bottom floor because there's just no way to escape without glitching or heavy like hack abuse. I guess I don't know. I'm just really happy I got through that game legit. It felt really good. With that being said, I've rambled on for like way too goddamn long. And I'll see you guys later where I take on Crystal Kaizo or do something else in the meantime. I don't know. Because I don't know if I want to go straight from a Pokemon game to another Pokemon game or if I want to. I don't even know if I'm going to have like a giant like team like I did this time and just alternate between them or if I'm going to have just a team of either probably six. Like I want a team more than six. Um, but I still want a full team of six because it like because you're very likely gonna get to level 100 anyway. If you only get to level 100 with one Pokemon, then you have one Pokemon and that's it. But when you have a team of six, you can get to with six Pokemon, which is the maximum you would really ever need, aside from switching out a few for like better ones in a certain situation. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done rambling. I'll see you guys later.